for me because basically I will talk about Circulus, so it's my daily job, so it's kind of easy. So I will share again a presentation there. Um, okay. Um, so as I told you, it has been now 3 years that I'm working for Circulus as Secretary General, and I'm trying to share with you now a bit kind of looking back at what happened in the last 3 years. I will try, and I think that you realize that I can. I like to be honest, and I'm not here to just sell Circular and say that everything is the best or something like this. But I really will try also to share with you, in fact, what have been the challenges so far in Circular in developing this alliance. So basically, because it's true that I haven't taken really the time for that, Circular, what is Circular? That's in fact the alliance with our 9 member university. Those alliances are, we like to say that are like-minded. So it's true that it's, as I told you, big university in Europe with a long tradition, long history that are established, most of them in capital cities, except Aarhus in Denmark and Louvain. And of course, it's always easy to have, people that looks similar. It's easier to work with a comparable institution than working with a different one. This said, to be honest with you, those universities are also very different. Maybe from the outside they look similar, but when you look really inside the university, they are really different. They are different in terms of culture, academic and scientific culture. They are different in terms of organization. They are different in terms of, I would say, priorities in terms of research and education. And therefore, of course, again, these differences is something that we have to manage here. We have to consider also there. I always give this really concrete example. The University of Belgrade is made of 21 faculties. All the faculties at the University of Belgrade have their own legal entity, meaning that in fact it's not the university itself receiving money from the government, but it's the faculties. So you can imagine that in a way or another, when you try to discuss with the University of Belgrade, in fact, you should not directly discuss, in fact, with the rectorate, but you should really discuss with the dean at the level of the faculties, etc. While you have a university in the north of the country, and especially Oslo, where it's really horizontal, where basically I'm always joking about that. It's not really a joke, but the rector, Sven Sturlen, his office is always open. So anybody could knock on his door, discuss with him, and have a chat with him. So you can imagine that the culture, are, of course, very, very different. It's those universities are also really keen to have strong values, European values there. But of course, I would say that some internal or external element can also make things complicated. I would say the fact of Kings being outside of the EU with the Brexit makes also that it's difficult to do that. The war in Ukraine has also impact about the position that some universities have taken, with some university being very close also to helping the Ukrainian colleagues, etc. While some had maybe different position because basically of the position of their government and things like this. So it's true that values are important, but still, of course, there are factors, internal, external factors that challenge also those elements there. All those universities are really committed to Circle U. As I told you, Kings is not anymore part of the EU and therefore not receiving EU funds from the project, but still, and I will explain that a bit later, they are fully member of the alliance as such. We have established the alliance as a legal entity, and they are participating in all the decision making of Circle U. They are contributing to that, etc. The big difficulty, of course, is that they are not receiving any external funds, and everything that they are doing for Circle U is based on their own funds. So that's what we are, non-university, 500,000 students, more than 2,500 study program, almost 70,000 staff members, a lot of ERC, so quite performing in terms of Horizon Europe projects, many different associate partners outside the academia. We have many EU projects, as I told you, across the non-university, and we have one vision. Again, those numbers here are not to showcase and say that we are the best or something like this. It's just more to say, to tell you honestly that it's a big boat, and this big boat is sometimes very complex to manage. I try to do my best, but honestly, you know, long tradition there, universities that are there for a long time are also sometimes very not so keen to change, and therefore are in a way some a bit conservative. And of course, we are powerful in a way. We are a big university, but sometimes I would prefer to have smaller universities, and that are maybe easier to move. What is interesting also, and again, it's not to say that we are the best or something like this, but Circular, I think it's the second biggest alliances in all the alliances, making also putting us in a position where the Commission likes to talk with us because they know that we are a big university and that we can have an impact also on what we are doing. So it's also we have a role across all the alliances, and the Commission is also expecting from us to contribute to the evolution, the development of the initiative. I told you about that yesterday, and I will not be too long, but still, I really want to emphasize, in fact, this paradox in which we are. When the initiative was launched, the European Alliance Initiative, indeed, there have been some EU funds, some call for project and things like this. And as you know, all these EU projects are really similar in a way that you know that you receive money from a certain period for 2, 3, or 4 years. You know that you will have a work program, that you will have deliverables and milestones and things like this, and that at the half of the project will have to report to the Commission to have a midterm report. You will have to report also at the end of the project and things like this. And that's something that makes that we have to do all that. It's really sprints. We have a lot of deliverables to make, etc. And at the same time, the Commission is expecting from the alliances also to really shape the future of higher education, and they want us to think about the alliance as a long-term strategic transformation of higher education. And I must admit that sometimes you are a bit lost in translation, in this kind of twilight zone between having the pressure of the Commission to really deliver quick results, and at the same time they are saying to you, oh, but you have to think for a 10 years period or even after 2030 or something like this. And it makes that difficult because basically in the university you will have some colleagues that are really keen to have quick results to make their job and make sure that we are fulfilling, in fact, the obligation linked to the project. And others, those that are maybe at the highest levels, rectors, president, vice rector, that in fact are not necessarily directly focusing on the project as such, but more on the impact on the long term, etc. And that's really something that we have to conceal in a way or another. And that's also the role that we have here at as a Secretary General here with my team. So that's, I will not go into details and I will make a bit fun about what we are doing, but basically the vision mission that we have in Circle U is to save the world. So we want to keep Europe and the world healthy, peaceful, and democratic and prosperous. And I know maybe it sounds a bit stupid, but yes, indeed, we want to, as alliances, play a role in the society. We are facing a lot of challenges, as I was saying yesterday. Those challenges are becoming more and more complex. We know basically, and I think it was the starting point of the university that decided to go together in Circle U, that even if you are the best university, even if you have the best researcher, the best student, and things like this, well, some challenges are becoming so complex. Most of the challenges you cannot anticipate. It means that in fact we have to work more and more together. That's maybe a simple message, but basically it's about that. And in Circle U, we decided to focus because we could not do work on everything, but we have focused on 4 teams, as I was saying yesterday: climate, democracy, global health, and AI. And therefore, we are trying in all what we are doing to really have a strong focus on those teams, even if, of course, there are interdisciplinary teams, and therefore we are not just linked to environmental issue, but also from a social science point of view, from a humanities point of view, and things like this. And to do that, we have several tools or several leverages, being of course the mobility. Even if in Circle U we are not really aiming, and it's not our final goal to increase the mobility, what we want is really to provide international exposure to our students, to our staff. So an international exposure is not just about being mobile physically, but it's also about bringing experience with other colleagues. We want also to create, and we are talking about that, this inter-university campus. Again, it's not a physical campus between the 9 university, but make sure that if you start at the University of Pisa as a student, you know that in a way or another you can feel that you are also part of this campus of CQ, and that you could have also opportunities at King's in London, in Aarhus in Denmark, or in Berlin at Humboldt, and therefore it's really crucial to do that. And last but not least, if we want to be serious about that, we have to integrate even more education, research, and innovation. I hope that I'm not starting as yesterday, and it will be okay. Um, so that's I would say the nice word and what we are, saying and selling to people. That's our vision and mission. But what is important is to see after 3 years what has happened. Here are just some first results. There are much more things to do, to mention, but maybe some things that I wanted to underline with you. First, the summer school. It's true that summer school is more and more important, I think, for most of the university because they're offering, new opportunities for students. And since 3 years, we have organized also across the nine member university, like 15 summer school. We have also developed what we call knowledge hub and platforms. So basically, the knowledge hub, we have a knowledge hub for each teams. There are really spaces where research and academics come together, can work together. It's a more virtual space. It's led by what we call an academic director, and basically we put together researchers, students, academics to work on the team there. There are kind of, I would say, research institutes or small faculties or a department inside the faculty or something like this. To do that, we have what we call academic chairs. Very important. It's really the backbone of CQ, where in fact from the start, the Nine University decided in fact to appoint some of their academics, some of their professors to work 20% of their time for CQ. So basically, there are in every Nine University some academics that are working full 20% of the time for CQ. They are not paid and not compensated through the money that we receive from the EU, but it's directly their own university that they are paying them or giving them some free hours to really work on CQ. And that's in fact a really strong commitment because it has allowed us also to reverse a bit the dynamic from a more top-down approach to a more bottom-up approach there. And I think it's really crucial there. Maybe two last points. We are currently developing different joint courses and programs. As I was saying yesterday, we haven't finalized yet full joint programs there, but there are many ongoing projects. It's taking time, of course, we know that. But at least we know that in 2 or 3 years, we will have, I think, 4 different bachelor or John Bachelor, John Master in CQ. And last but not least, from the start, in fact, we decided to put on the side what we call the seed funding scheme. So basically, it's we have launched annual call with I think 100,000 euro more or less, and there any academics and researcher from the Nine University can apply with a collaborative project with other partner from one of the other secondary university, and it could be everything. So it's really open. They can get up to 10,000 euros there, and it's really about a kind of incentive to have people on the field, really professor, researcher to work together and make sure that CQ is something that is happening also outside of what we have said we will do with the EU. So where we are heading to. So as I told you, the pilot phase, the result that I showed here was more from the pilot phase, the first 3 years that when we started in 2020. And as I told you yesterday, we had a new funding last year, and the new phase started in November last year, where for the next 4 years, in fact, we have received almost 13 million euro from the Commission. And therefore, in fact, it's a new phase about really consolidating what we are doing. So basically, it's the project that we called Circuit 2030. And it's a really continuation of what we have done. We have tested some, activities, some new approaches in the first 3 years. Now, what we are trying to do in the next 4 years is to consolidate what we are doing, really to have an infrastructure and ecosystem that is consistent. We want to scale up also the different activities that we have developed. So as I told you, we had several summer school, joint modules, joint courses, joint programs. some challenge-based also activity and things like this. We want to have more students, more academics, more professors to participate into that and really to scale up that. And we want to make sure that in fact what we are doing have really an impact on what we are doing inside our university. And to do that, and then from my perspective, the most important, we want to make sure to embed circular inside the university. I think that's it's really the big change now in the new phase is that maybe we'll concentrate less on the project as such, but we want the non-university to make sure that what is happening in the alliance at the circular level becomes also relevant and really reality for each faculty, for the professors, etc. And we really want to embed, in fact, what we are doing inside the non-university. So we have what we call an ecosystem, or you can call that a virtual campus or something like this. So as I told you, we have this open campus, which is our campus, a kind of faculty where basically it's really simple. It's where, in fact, you will find all the information about the opportunities offered by CircleU. And to, I would say, feed this open campus, we have different knowledge hubs. So the one that are linked to the themes that we have about global health, democracy, climate, and AI. And also we have now what we have called the platforms, which are more support platforms or horizontal platform that are really helping also to, I would say, enhance the quality of what we are doing. So we have people from the non-university working on teaching innovation. So basically, they are the one really helping professor to rethink about their pedagogies and things like this. We have also colleagues working on more the linguistic approach. So how can we promote multilingualism, interculturality, etc., to make sure that also in what we are offering, we have also this aspect. We have an incubator where basically students can work with innovation center when they have ideas, and we are trying to push also entrepreneurship skills with them, etc. And last but not least, we have also really a strong focus on early career research. So basically, to support the career of PhD candidates, postdoc research, and things like this. And again, all those aspects there, in fact, we are connecting what exists in the nine university to make sure that we can work together. So I will not go into the details of the ecosystem. Um, Again, you will receive the presentation, so do not hesitate afterwards to ask me question if you have. I mentioned already a bit our perspective in terms of learning and teaching and what we want to develop as a joint educational offering there. The same, of course, for research. And basically, that's a scheme that shows a bit what is the approach that we have in terms of educational opportunities. So we know that we want to develop joint master, joint PhD, joint bachelor modules. We know that even if it's important, it's still targeting a really limited number of students there. And that's why we want to develop, I would say, broader also offering, like what we have called open courses or conversation, where basically any learner inside or outside Circuit could also contribute. And we believe that it's by focusing on all those aspects at the same time, including those that are more larger, that we will have really an impact on the higher education agenda in Europe. And of course, we are research intensive university. And even if Erasmus is more, of course, focusing on education, we want to make sure that we are connecting individual researcher, that we have an agenda, that we know what are our priorities there, and make sure, as we were discussing yesterday, that we can help and support researcher to get funding there. And last but not least, we want to get out of the ivory tower. Of course, it's easy to stay just between university, but why we have so many associate partners is to make sure that we are also working with them, make sure that in fact our student, our researcher, or professor can also have also contact with the museum, with NGOs, with municipality, and that we are also more linked with the reality of non-academic partners. So how all this is working, as you can imagine, it again, it's a big boat. I think that the guiding values or principle are really crucial. The first guiding principle that we have is that basically we want circular to happen at the appropriate level. What does that mean is that in a way or another, the rectors and president, they do not need to know what is happening at every level of the project. We have work package coordinator, we have people working on that. They are the one in charge of that. And of course, if there are sometimes a problem and challenges, then we will escalate that to a higher level. Honestly, it's not happening really often, and we try to have a solution at the appropriate level, but still, it's something that is really crucial. As I told you, even if we are still in a university, we are still very diverse. And despite of the differences, I think that the fact that we have a strong vision and mission there makes that we can, I would say, overcome the diverse or maybe the discrepancies between the university and make sure that we can really go together on this journey, this unique journey of Circle. We are consensus oriented. To be transparent with you, since I'm working for Circle in the last 3 years, we have never voted for anything. So most of the decisions are taken on consensus. Yes, we have voted some budget aspect or also, the inclusion of new partners and things like this. But even there was no secret ballot or something like this. Everything was really taken by consensus, and I think that it's really the basis of trust. I must be honest with you that I've seen other alliances where it was really difficult. I've been sometimes invited, to participate to some board of some alliances, and sometimes it was really distrustful environment. In the case of Circle U, I think that it's really interesting to see the trust that we have. Flexibility, very important, because I think that when we started 2 years ago, we wanted to do everything together, but we know that it's impossible. So that's why, to give again a concrete example, we are working on this joint master on public governance. We do not expect the non-university to be a part of this joint master. We know that it's not necessarily a priority for everybody, and therefore, some will work on that. Of course, the John Master will be open to every student of NIDE Partner University, but we are not requiring every non-university to be part of that. And in fact, this allows us to really have a strong ownership of the project there. And even if we are not involved in the same, I would say, intensity in all the activity, it makes that still you don't have the pressure and that you can really concentrate and focus, on a specific activity developed in the alliance. So a difficult visual here. Again, I will not go into the details. What maybe is important is that maybe to mention here, on one side you have, I would say, the project management and how exactly things are done from a project management point of view, so with the work package and things like this. On the other side is really about the alliance management. So basically, beyond the project, how are we managing the alliance? So it's really the strategic aspect where we will have a general assembly with the rector and president, the board with the vice rector and vice president, the circular office trying to help that. And it's crucial to, of course, link those different aspects between the project management and the alliance management. Uh, just to give you some, again, I will not go into details. I'm happy to maybe, continue the conversation with some of you if you're interested. Just to give you some insight, the General Assembly, so as I told you, is the highest level of decision making. Directors and president are inside the General Assembly. They are meeting twice a year. Very importantly, in fact, from the start, students are there also. So students are also participating in the General Assembly, so making also sure that students are also contributing and participating in the decision making at the highest level. This General Assembly is chaired by one circular president. Today, it's the president of the Humboldt University in Berlin, that is elected from 1 year and renewable once. In concrete terms, in fact, every time it has been 2 years mandate. And Julia von Bummelthal is really the one working with me, etc., making sure that in fact we have a kind of face for Circuit. She's also the one discussing with the European institution, with other partners and things like this. Um, we have the management board. So the management board is meeting much more often, every 4 to 6 weeks. It's the vice rector and vice president. Today, not the student, but in fact, I should update this slide because now, since September, they're also part of that. And they are really the one making the link between the project aspects, so really what is happening in the EU-funded project and really what we want for Circular in the long term. So they are really about strategic management, steering also what we are doing. And today it's chaired by the Vice Rector for Education at the University of Oslo, making sure also that there is no one university having the monopoly of every governing bodies. The Circular Student Union, again, very interesting how it started, because in fact it wasn't, the commission saying that we should do that, or one university saying to do that. In fact, even before Circular started, we had some seminars with the different bodies of the community here. And in fact, students met together, the student union of the 90 partner university, and they decided by themselves to create this Circular Student Union. And since then, in fact, they are appointing some two elected student representatives for each university, meaning that we have 18 students from the 9 partner university that can contribute to all, I would say, the process of Circulio, from the highest level at the General Assembly until also the project management that are also part of work package and things like this. The Circulio coordinator are those that I'm working on the daily basis. As I told you yesterday, that on Monday we have a meeting with all of them, and that's really, I would say, my counterparts inside the university. They are the one overviewing what is happening inside the university. They are coordinating the participation of their university in the project, trying to facilitate really the embedment of Circular inside the university. So they are really the first line. They are in a way my team also to work on Circular. The successes, as I told you, trust, really important. The structure that we have, even it looks complex, in fact, it's really flexible. We try to be flexible. We are not, too strict in terms of processes, etc. We are really transparent about the roles and responsibility. We have what we call the governance framework, where we explain basically what is the role of everybody. And we have seen, I think a year ago, we made a big, I would say, evaluation of the governance. And in fact, it was really positive in terms of people really perceiving the governance as really well functioning, really efficient. And I think it's a good point also. But there are also many challenges. Of course, sometimes it's difficult to communicate about this governance, and I'm trying to communicate that with you, but it's true that it's not always easy to enter that. We see also that as I told you, historically, 3 universities were really leading also the alliance, Aarhus, Oslo, and Louvain. It's true that now, because of the change of authority, the change of rectors, etc., we see a move also of the center of gravity there. It's still this challenge about balancing between the project dynamic and the alliance dynamic. It's true that now we are making more and more things. We are also changing some aspects of governance, trying also to have a other part of the communities of the 9 partner university being involved, but it makes also there is a risk of complexification of the governance of the alliance, and therefore we have to make sure that we can do that. And so far, even if I told you that we are trying to get out of the ivory tower, the associate partner are not involved directly in the governing body of Circular. So it's true that we sometimes lack a bit this external view on what we are doing. Of course, the associate partner are involved in the specific activity, but they are not involved directly in the General Assembly or the management board and things like this. And that's something that we should think maybe in the future. I will maybe finish with that. And I'm sorry it's maybe a bit long, but as I told you, in fact, from the start, the directors and president decided to establish a legal entity. Why a legal entity? It's not because the commission was saying that we should do that, but from the start, in fact, directors and president thought, okay, if we want to be serious about what we are doing with Circle U, we should have, in a way, another kind of permanent structure that can really help and support the long-term vision of Circle U. And if we want to be serious again about the transformation process that is Circle U, then we need, in fact, to make sure that we have this permanent structure that can support, in fact, this journey along the way. And basically, one of the university, the University of Louvain, had experience about establishing legal entity and Belgian law. We decided to establish what we call the International Non-Profit Organization, ASBL in French. And in fact, why we decided to do that, because it's really easy to set up. It was fit for purpose also. And as I told you, one of the universities have experience about that. And what is exactly is this legal entity? Well, it's different components. We have, of course, the circular office that I'm heading. So basically, we have resources that are there to support the non-partner university with staff members and things like this. We have also some budgets that in fact is a mutual budget that is helping, for example, I was mentioning the circular seed fund. It's something that we manage directly in the circular office. And through that, the research and academics from circular can really launch new collaboration. And we are the one also responsible, the legal entity is through that we really are defining the governance and how basically we are taking decision in Circle U. So again, it's interesting because it's a bit something a bit outside of the nine partner university, but still that are really in charge of that. So all what we are doing with the legal entity, in fact, is also owned by every university. So today, the circular office that I'm heading is quite a small one, a rather small one. You have me as Secretary General, so I'm coordinating all that. My colleague Audrey, the mail officer, that is really about looking at data collection, evaluating the impact of what we are doing. Giacomo is the operational assistant, so basically he's helping me in preparing all the meeting, the General Assembly, the management board, making sure that we have in time the agenda, the document, and things like this. He's also in charge of also managing the office as such, so the HR aspect, the financial aspect, etc. My colleague Margot is in charge of communication, so she is connected with the communication officer in the non-partner university, making sure that we have a website, that we are present on social media and things like this. And last but not least, we have also interns, one or two per term. So that's something that is also important. Until recently, in fact, the circular office was a kind of empty shell in a way that, in fact, I was still hired by one of the university, and there was not really budget for the circular office. It has changed, in fact, since January because we have introduced an annual membership fee. So every university is also contributing to that with a 30,000 euro a year. And basically, based on that, we have our own operational budget for the circular office. And as I told you also in the new phase, this new project, the circular office is also the legal entity is also full beneficiary, and we receive also money from the EU for that. So what concretely we are doing, maybe I will pass there, but I will say that basically we have three main roles. First, we support the project activity. We are making sure that you know what we are doing. We are monitoring what we are doing, evaluating the progress of what we are doing. So it's more an operational point of view. We have an executive role also, so we are the one in charge of supporting the governance. So we are working with the circular president, with the management board, with the management board chair, to make sure that everything is smooth, that the decision are taken in smooth manners, etc. And really, it's about facilitating the decision making. And last but not least, we have a strategic also dimension there, where basically we are making sure and we are really the one looking at what is happening right now in the project and see how aligned is it with the strategic objective that we have for the future. And so, as I was telling you yesterday, I'm really kind of a devil advocate, saying to the rectors and president, well, we have committed to do that. You have said that 2 or 3 months ago. Now we are in this position. It's maybe not totally aligned with the objective that we had. What do we do then to make sure that we can really fulfill our objective? We are also strategic in a way that we represent the alliance externally. So we are based in Brussels. So of course, we have daily contacts, weekly contacts with the European Commission, with the institution, to make sure that we can also defend in a way now that the interest of the alliance, make sure that in the future we will still have received EU funds, that the evolution of policy are also aligned with our objective. So it's also a strong role that we have there. And now, so as I told you, we are in a new phase. A lot of things are happening. As I told you, a lot of work is doing. As I was telling you, it's really about now making sure that we are not, you know, multiplying too much the activity that we have, but making sure that the activity that we are doing, in fact, makes sense for each university. I think that honestly, if tomorrow one university is telling me that, in fact, it doesn't make sense, it's not meaningful anymore to be part of Circle, I think that then it's not worth it to continue that. And it's really important to make sure that there's this ownership about Circle U, the alliance, that in fact is aligned also with the priorities of the non-partner university. Of course, not all the non-partner university have the same priorities, but still that they really see the added value to be part of the alliance. If it's not the case anymore, I think that then it doesn't make sense anymore that we continue with Circle U. So that's it from my side. Again, sorry it was maybe a bit long, but I wanted to provide you as much information as possible. And again, I could talk about security during weeks and months, but I will maybe stop now.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks a lot for the presentation and shedding the light. What is the European University Alliances and how is it working? I guess yesterday we had a very good understanding how the alliances work, and today you also get a idea how the quality is monitored in the European University Alliances. And having that information is important in order to be ready if you are willing to get associated partner in the upcoming future. And now is a good time to making your research and study the opportunities which is out there, study the alliances which exist out there, and learn if they are willing to accept new members when the new calls, expansion calls, will be announced in 2026 and 2027. Any questions?